welcome back to the channel. How we all doing? Hope we all smashing those gigs right out the park, as I always say. Remember, if you happen to be passing by my channel, please hit that subscribe button. Also ring that bell for further notifications. Send me a thumbs up, send me a comment, all that marvelous YouTube stuff, as I always say. Someone asked me the other day, why do I keep swapping around my boxes or my speaker setup, basically? And here's the reason why. I'm going to tell you why and what I intend to achieve out of it, basically. So the reason why I keep swapping around the boxes is so I know their limits and I can pair them with different subs. I can pair the mid-highs with different subs, vice versa, basically. So I can mix and match depending on the venue and what I'm using, or I should say depending on the venue in which I am playing at, basically. That's the reason why, as to I keep swapping around my boxes and kind of like matching different manufacturers with different other manufacturers. It's just to get a feel of how that particular sound sounds like, so to speak. And if I don't do it, I will never know, basically. Here's a good example as to why. Using the JMax 114A, which are very good speakers. Now, I decided to use these speakers on their own. The reason why I decided to use them on their own, because I took a chance just to hear how they will sound, and I know I can get away with them within certain venues without any subs. It depends on the financial cost, the loading, so those are the things which will kind of like make my decision or sway my decision as to what speaker setup I'm using. So that's one of the reasons why I mix and match my setup. Now, if I never used those JMax 114s on their own, I wouldn't know their capabilities. I wouldn't know what venues I can use them in on their own and how they're coped and how they're handled. So I took a chance. I've used them on their own at a particular venue. So I know their limits. I know the type of crowd, or should I say, I know the crowd capacity they can handle and play for without a problem before I've got to switch again and use a different type of setup. Now, you might have seen the last function I've done, I used them on their own. That was the JMax 114s, because I know I could get away with it. And they handled that particular function with that particular capacity of audience. Not a problem, no issues whatsoever all night long, basically. Now, as you can see, this is a slightly bigger venue. I'll give you a quick pan round as to this venue. So as you can see, it's a slightly bigger venue. So I don't think the JMaxes on their own are going to kind of cut the mustard. So I bought the 112s SAs. So those are the FBTs 112s, and I'm paired with the JMax's 114. As I said, I get a lot more pressure out on the dance floor as opposed to using the paired match. The paired match for the FBTs 112 SAs are the 206As. Now that's a pair match, that's how they're sold, basically. So you get the sub and you get the mid-highs, basically. That's sold as a package. Not taking anything away from the 206s. They are awesome speakers, basically. But when you use them with the FBT's 112s SA, you've got to set them to high pass. You don't have to, but you set them to high pass, and obviously you're using a sub. They are loud, and they do cope with the large size venues on their own. That's the 206s along with the 112s SA. Not taking anything away from that package. Like I said, the 206 tops on their own, they are extremely loud, basically, and I know I can use them. I have used them in bigger venues and I have got away with it, but I am lacking that additional pressure out on the dance floor, and that's where this pairing comes in. The FBT JMax 114As. That's where that comes in, basically. The reason where that comes in, because it closes the gap, the frequency gap between the lows and the mid-highs. Because what I tend to do when I'm using the 114s SA, I set them to full range. I don't set them to high pass, I set them to full range. And that gives me kind of like an additional increase in low end frequency, increasing the pressure out on the dance floor in combination with the 112s. So I'm getting an additional pressure and additional oomph out on the dance floor. That's my reasoning behind it. It is tried and it is tested, and yeah, lo and behold, it does work. I get that increased pressure out on the dance floor when I use this particular combination. So I know I can kind of like get away with a slightly larger size venue, medium to larger size venue, with a crowd capacity of, let's say, probably about 140. Not a problem. and I can actually feel the increase in pressure using this particular combination out on the dance floor. So for that extra bottom end, the extra boom, I tend to use the FBT's 114As, and it gives me that increased additional throw on the low end out on the dance floor, coupled with the subs, the 12-inch 112 SAs. So that's the reason why I kind of like mix and match my setup. It's purely to get an understanding of what I can kind of like use with different types of subs or different types of mid-highs, and pair them together, hear how they sound, and I know that, okay, within that particular venue, I can get away with that particular setup, basically. It's a method behind my madness. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, I am going to give you a quick walkthrough as to what I am using. As you already know, we are using the FBT's 114As, which is believe it or not, a 14-inch driver with a 1-inch throat compression driver, along with the FBT's 112 SAs, which is a 12-inch sub on their own. Equinox combi booth, Apple MacBook Pro. Moving around to the front of the house, we are using the ILS command, Denon MC6000 Mark II. Yes, I know it's about 15, 16 years old, but I love this particular setup, and another reason as to why I love this setup, because the controller is such a small footprint. Within the flight case, it is so light, and it's a dream to use, basically. I don't use all the features of it, to totally be honest with you. I have MIDI map stems to a couple of the buttons on it, which is, I believe, the loop in and loop out button. So I've mapped stems to that, and that's about as what I use, basically. I'm not an adventurous DJ. That's the reason as to why I do like the Denon MC6000 Mark II. And also, the Rain Run flight case, it's extremely heavy. When I mean heavy, it's extremely heavy for me. Putting it on this booth ain't no joke. It's taxing on my back, basically, to lift up that flight case and put it on this combi booth, basically. Again, guys, I like to keep my wiring nice and tidy. Everything's gaffer tape down for safety, because people always tend to come around the front and they want to come, believe it or not, in between the speakers, basically. That's and the booth. That's the way they choose to make their way to me. They won't go round, they'll come in between. So that point there is going to be a trip hazard, so that's why I tend to take that down. And also, all the wiring is all tidy. I use black insulation tape along the poles and the speaker cables and the power leads to keep them nice and tidy, as you can see. That's me personally, that's how I like to do it. Anyway, finishing off the walkthrough, where did I get to? Denon MC6000 Mark II. It's the QWM wireless microphone, which has true diversity. I'm sure a lot of you do know what it is, but for those who don't, true diversity means that it would alternate the signal between the two antennas, and whichever antenna receives the stronger signal, it would actually use that antenna, and it does that continuously. It hot switches between antennas to draw in a stronger signal from the microphone, basically. That's what true diversity means. Underneath the Apple MacBook Pro, I am using a laptop cooler, and that's just to keep things running nice and cool. Not that I'm doing anything taxing on it at all, but nevertheless, I still like to keep the MacBook Pro running particularly cool, because this is the version with the touch bar, and it does run a bit warmer, or should I say a bit hotter, than all the other laptops, the MacBook Pros, because of the touch bar. That's what I tend to find, and the fan tends to come on it a lot. So I'm not a particular keen fan of that, because obviously if the fan's in the laptop's coming on and it's running at high speed, you might get a little bit of throttling, and you might get a little bit of issues as well with performance, especially with Serato. So that's why I tend to use the laptop cooler on that. And what else have I got to show you? Sennheiser headphones, and that is pretty much the audio setup of things. Going over to my trusty Gigbar Move Plus ILS, along with the color pixel strip on top. Gonna do a vlog about that and what I actually think of it. If you want to see that vlogs, you know what to do. Ring that bell and for further notifications of all things related to DJing and gig logs. You'll find out my true opinion of what I think of the Chauvet color pixel strip. Okay, the reason again why I've used that, again I've done a vlog on that, how I've attached it onto the Gig Bar Move Plus ILS. So again, if you want to see that, you know what to do. I'm not sure if I've done it. I've done the vlog, I've just got to get it out in the domain basically, so to speak. And the reason as to why I use the Chauvet color pixel strip is to give me that additional light out on the dance floor, so it makes it a bit more brighter as opposed to just using the pars. That's the reason why I use it. But again, using the Chauvet pixel color strip, it gives me a slightly narrow beam. It's more focused and directional. So I think I'm gonna do a mod to that, and the mod which I'm gonna do to that is remove the lenses, the clear lenses, what you can see, and I am gonna put a frosted lens on it, so you get a nice merger and you don't get that directional focus light beam with it, so you should get a more wider spread of light, so it should make it look probably a little bit more attractive anyway. You know, I try it, see how it goes. Either way, I should let you guys know how it pans out when I've done it, basically, if it was a load of crap or if it was the best thing since sliced bread. Once again, I've got to say thank you very much for all the new subscribers who has subscribed to the channel. It's been very much appreciated. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. It really help the channel out, and smash that bell, give me a thumbs up. Send me a comment if you want me to review something, or if you want me to explain as to why or how I particularly do something. It'd be very much appreciated. And I remember, I would always take the time to get back to you. So I haven't done one of these for ages. It is a post vlog. Reason why is because I've actually made a mistake when I was filming the dance floor action. It was all done in time lapse, so that practically renders all the dance floor action useless. So this vlog is literally gonna be about how and why I use it and how and why I do it. That's referring to my speaker setup as to why I keep switching them around and what I hope to achieve out of it. All will become clear once you watch the vlog, basically. Sorry about that, there's no dance floor action in this particular vlog because of my schoolboy error of recording the whole entire dance floor action part of this vlog in time lapse, which is pretty much useless basically. Anyway, going back to the earlier part of this video, when I arrived at the venue, I was talking about why I keep swapping around my speaker setup, and that is purely because I like to see how far I can use particular types of speakers and what venues I can use them in, by mixing and matching different types of speaker setups to get the best out of that particular setup for that venue. The reason why, or how should I say, the reason how I do this, initially, if I've not been to a particular venue before, I would normally, two important things I would send out with the paperwork to that client is, one, number of guests, and two, nature or type of music. That would help me determine what sort of speaker setup I am going to bring for that particular function. Say, for example, on the paperwork which returns back to me, they say, right, okay, it's generally party music, a lot of cheese, and it's a 60th birthday party or an anniversary. So I know that I can pretty much get away with the J-Maxes, the 114s on their own, and the guest number of count is going to be about 60. That's fine. J-Max on their own would cover that. On the flip side of that, if they said the paperwork came back to me and they said the music content was going to be R&B, it was going to be trance, dubstep, all that kind of like youngest type of music, and the guest count was going to be 150, then I know I need to bring a slightly different type of setup for that. I will probably either need to bring the J-Max's 114s along with the FBT's 112 SA, or I can swap it around. I can use the RCF 905's AS Mark IIs along with the FBT's 206As. That's the reason why I swap around the speaker setups basically. And when I do swap them around, I use them slightly different. For example, when I'm using the 112's SA, the FBTs, along with the the FBT J-Max 114s A's, I would run the J-Max's 114s on full range. I won't use them on high pass. I would use them to complement the 112 SAs to get a little bit more extra power, or shall I say, to get a little bit more extra oomph out there on the dance floor. So get a little bit more pressure out there on the dance floor on the lower end, because, well, the 112s or the 114s, the 114 J Maxes complement each other basically with the low end. That's why I mix and match my setup, so I know which type of speakers to match with which other different type of manufacturers to get the best out of that particular setup, for the number of guests, for the type of music, for the venue size, what I'm playing in. The venue size is normally dictated by the number of guests generally, to be honest with you. So like I said previous, if the guest count is about 60, it's not going to be in a normally it's not going to be in a particularly large venue, so I know I can pretty much get away with a reasonable sort small size setup. And there's other contributing factors which might influence what type of speakers I bring, like the loading. If I've been to the venue before, or I know it, or I've scoped it out before, then I know, okay, it's an awkward loading. I'm going to make my life easier, so I'm going to bring a slightly lighter but yet still an impressionable setup to kind of like enhance the music sound level basically. If it's an easy setup, literally I'm parking outside the front door, then I know, okay, I can bring a slightly bigger setup if the numbers require it. So that is the key reason as to why I keep switching around my speaker setup basically. It's to get an understanding of how far I can take particular types of equipment, whether I'm pairing them with a sub or whether I'm using them on their own, because I do have multiple different setups for different types of occasion. That's why I prefer to use point source as opposed to like line arrays, where you don't have that option to mix and match different types of columns with different types of subs, because they are specific to that particular speaker. You just don't have that option. That's probably one of the reasons why I like to use point source as opposed to line array. I do get it, don't get me wrong. I realise and I understand that line arrays such as the Maris 44 G2s, they look lovely. I do like the way how they look. I do like the way how they sound. It's all one neat, sleek speaker setup where your mid highs are plugging in or literally plonking into your sub, and it looks very, very nice for wedding setups basically. But for my type and line of work, what I do, the tripod point source speakers, although they have been, albeit that they have been around for many, many years now, going back since as far back as I can remember, the concept of it is very old, it's very dated, but yet still they're making speakers smaller and more powerful point source wise, and all right, they don't look attractive, but yet still I do prefer them. Like I said, I would rather prefer, I like the line array setup and how it's built, but with that you don't have the option to mix and match different types of speaker setups. That is purely the reason why I like point source speakers. Once again, I don't like the look of it on the stand on the tripod. I particularly don't like it. But with the FBTs, the 112s SA, along with the J Maxes or any other speaker, I do have the option of using them on a single pole coming out the sub straight into a top out on the mid highs. So it does kind of like take away that tripod aspect side of things, making it look a little bit more on the attractive side. So that's I guess one way of kind of like getting around the tripod aspect side of things basically, but still not the same as like line arrays or like speakers such as the Mari 44 G2s or the new QSC's speaker column line arrays, what they've brought out basically. But yet still, I'm old school and I like all the old school sort of stuff basically. Will I change over to line array? Who knows? I believe point source was slightly a little bit more powerful than line arrays basically, because it's two dedicated speakers. You got an amp for your lows and in your low speaker cabinet, and you got an amp in your high speaker cabinet. So you combine the two, it's going to be louder, I believe. Let me know If I'm talking a load of garbage, put your comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know what you think of it. Do you prefer line rate as opposed to point source, or point source as opposed to line arrays? Let me know what your thoughts are. I'd be interested to see what people's thoughts are on this are. Okay, once again, sorry about no dance floor action today. That's my schoolboy error of recording the whole part of that section in time lapse. Until we meet again on the next vlog, remember to keep it real, and thank you to all the subscribers who have subscribed to the channel. It is very much appreciated, and remember to give me a thumbs up, share, comment, like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next one.